Meeting's called to order. Did we do attendance? We haven't done attendance forever. Do we need to do attendance?
No, not
Okay.
anymore, no.
All right. Chair, member, and committee reports.
I don't have any.
Check. Review mail, phone messages.
Not at this time.
Check. And I says, public inquiries, stormwater runoff?
Correct. It just has been there for a while. This is, Mr. Sanchez have requested in the past. He had a conversation with Angela regarding, her allowing him to add some stones on the right of way to kind of help with runoff.
Robert Boulevard?
Yeah. So he came back to the office and said, I haven't heard back from you guys, it's been a while now. And it's like I wasn't aware of any conversation you had with Angela, so he presented me a paper with her signature on it and her card, but it wasn't a permit in any way,
Shape or form?
shape
Okay.
or form. So I explained to him that I could not own that, we don't work that way, I would have to
Do an NOI?
do a permit, but however, we're talking about a right of way, which he doesn't own. So
That's dicey.
and not only that, apparently the rocks would be coming from DPW, which DPW has no recollection of that, such arrangement, and Jerry's gone now, so I say, listen, maybe that was might have been a conversation you had with her, but I cannot grant this. I'll bring to the commission, but, everyone needs to follow the process, and he doesn't own, it's a right of way.
Right.
So it appears that 60 people or residents,
Have
or
access?
61% of the residents, something like that, have access to the right of way. So we cannot give
One person.
one person,
Okay.
that type of power to go and change the right of ways for him to pass. Trust, to go
Yeah.
and come and not to, make changes to it. So it's up to the commission how you wanna handle, but it's my experience that,
Well, that just opens us up to a can of worms. Did you guys catch all that? This guy wants to do some work along a right of way that's shared by a lot of people.
it's on the lake. It's like, do you have right of way on Prindle? Is there a right of way on Prindle? No,
No.
really, right? So you have it, Gleneco.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine if, someone
person did
comes
one
in, I
thing.
wanna fix this and change this, and how many right of ways do we have?
Yeah.
And not only that, DPW will never be giving materials
if
for
they
that
have a
matter.
Lake commission that wants to
Right,
contain
so
it.
the process would be, he'll have approval for all the residents that have the
Right.
deeded right of way, and they go to the association of the lake, and then they'll come to me and file a NOI.
So
But,
do you need a recommendation from us to agree with that? Is that what you're looking for?
yes,
Motion?
Need a motion?
motion to not grant it, the
Yes.
arrangement
Yeah.
he had
And
previously
advise
done
them
with
to do what you
Angela.
just said.
And
Yeah.
advise to contact all the residents that have deeded access to agree with it, and they file a notice of intent, because he is, paying 20 feet from the lake.
Okay.
Okay, who
Any
made the
motion?
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 Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right. Moving on, approval of minutes, July 12th, 2023, and September 27th.
Only July 12, I did not finish
All right.
it, and I made few of the revisions.
Okay.
I can run it
Yeah.
by you after,
Sure.
before we sign.
All right, then I just need approval of minutes for July 12th, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, July 12th, 2023.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye. Okay.
I'm old, I need to be able to hear you. All right, first item, notice of intent, DEP number 128-1880, Griffin Road.
You can stop there if you'd like, we'll be continuing.
We'll be continuing again, it seems to be a
To
habit.
October 25th.
October 25th.
Trick or treat. I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
I need a second.
Second.
I need all in favor.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Can be short on the next two.
So just, all right, notice of intent, DP, no number, 6 Scale Road. Is this being,
Will be continued to October 25th.
I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Both these have been continued forever. And what's the deal with the third one? Same one, this next one, I'll open it up. Notice of intent, DP number 128-1890, Lot 4B Oxbow Road.
They're almost there. They
They're
have
almost there?
received their reports from Ecotech and Graves. They just submitted on a Friday. I looked it over, but it was too close. We were on holiday on Monday. I spoke with the engineer today, and he asked to continue to the 25th so he can submit the revised plans, which I don't have.
The drainage,
Yes.
the stormwater, right? Yeah. All right, so I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Arts
next
Fest.
item. Notice of intent, no DEP number for 28 Curtis Hill Road and New Spencer Road. This is the huge development, right?
We will also be continuing to October 25th.
This one's gonna be a nightmare. I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Who made the motion?
Peter.
Too quiet, no one can hear you.
No, I was reading.
I'm gonna turn my
Alan?
hearing aids down.
Yes, Peter.
Oh, it's not, she couldn't hear it either. Get your bullhorn.
Yep.
All right, next item, we do have a DP number. DP number 128-1912, 171 Sunset Drive, I'm sorry, yeah, 171 Sunset Drive. The applicant has been a notice of intent for the repair and construction of a new retaining wall, removal of one oak tree, and replacement of a shed, and the installation of a cement pad. We had everything done last time with the DP number, right?
No, we had the DP number, but we had comments. Number one, the length of the wall, because I had to put that into, it was no longer buffer. It was right in there in the water, so what I got, it was 85. And then I went to Mr. Chambers' property, and now I understand what he meant by the cement pad, which is no longer doing the cement, he's doing the pavers. He made that decision to be a little more environmentally. And he also did 91 linear feet. So I asked him to draw a little sketch so we have a better understanding of what he's doing there. So it will total be 91 linear feet for land on the water. So are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
The shed? So it appears that he has lost some land due to erosion. And to avoid that to continue, he's filling that space here with the blocks. My question to you is, you're not gonna be filling in with fill,
No.
the lake, just the pavers?
Yeah, they set it in sand, just like the pictures of Rob Lemansky's property, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right, but you're not filling in with sand?
No, I'm not filling in anything on the lake,
Just,
nothing.
okay, so that was my own question. So
Okay.
I have everything that I need. If the commission doesn't have any question, we don't have any butters, I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing the order of conditions.
I need a motion to issue.
Motion to issue.
Need a
Second.
motion?
On a
No.
motion for both, to close the hearing and to issue the order.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Good to go. Thank you
Okay.
for the sketch, and just give me until Monday so I can issue the order.
Okay,
Sounds good? And I'll call you. Nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
All right. Next item, Certificate of Compliance, 128-498, wow.
I
Wait.
know.
200 Partridge Hill Road. That's about our first number.
This was a septic system repair back in 1996. I mean, I went
Yeah.
there, there's no much to see.
You didn't dig down, find it?
I assumed it's there.
No? You didn't smell anything, so that.
No, so I would be recommending a complete certificate of compliance
If it's not
unless the
complying, we
commission,
would have found out by now.
right? I would think so,
So I need a motion to issue.
for a
certificate.
complete certificate of
I'll make
compliance.
a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Violation. City Depot Road update.
I was told someone would be here from there today, but I don't see any, so we can continue to the next meeting.
Is this updated, this agenda?
Did you want to update the commission what you found out from the DP or no?
No, I
If it-
figured maybe next time, so
Okay.
if we have everyone here, I can
Alright.
put the pictures up and everyone is on. Yes, I had to change on the
Yeah.
new old business because I forgot to add Pumpkin Lane. So that's my next was gonna go to, if the commission is okay to discuss it, because I forgot to add, so, but since it has been a continuous conversation, I figured it wouldn't be a problem for us to discuss under, old business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, okay, you're up.
So next, Pumpkin Lane / Brindle Lake sediment cleanup.
Hopefully make it short.
Could you guys state your name once you're seated, so we can write down? Please.
Mark Colley?
Richard Watts?
Is there engineer with us today?
No.
Oh,
So what-
okay.
You're up.
Well, at the last meeting, we had provided our engineer's report, and showed the sediment that's out in the cove into the lake. And I believe that it was, you were gonna speak with Art. and
I was
then-
gonna let Art know that you guys submitted the application, I forwarded to him, and he consulted with his client, and he's on the call now. Go ahead, Art.
Good evening. How's
Hi, Art.
everybody doing?
Doing great.
Good. Art Allen from Ecotech, wetland scientist and consultant for Gene Trethewey at 59 Pumpkin Lane. Ecotech's been working on this project and the adjacent 57 Pumpkin Lane for some number of years. We're well aware that there's been some erosion control issues at both lots, some sediment discharge, sediment within the swale along Pumpkin Lane and entered the stream that feeds down into Prindle Pond. I was most recently involved with some recommendations for stabilization at 59 Pumpkin, and also I oversaw the removal of sediment from the stream and from the mouth of Prindle Pond. Also, at the same time, the DPW was working, cleaning out the swale and relining the swale along along Pumpkin Lane down gradient of 59. It appeared to me that the bulk of the sediment that was lost in this year from 59 Pumpkin, the bulk material, the sands, the heavier silts, the bulky material was deposited within straw wattles and stone check dams within the swale along Pumpkin Lane. And that material was all removed by the town. And then we followed up with some sediment removal from the stream and from the mouth of the pond. And I documented that work in my report dated August 4th. And we took about 3/4 of a cubic yard of sand and silt from the stream and from the pond. And that material was overlying, established root mats, established organic matter. So it appeared to me that we took, the sediment that had originated from erosion events this year that was taken out, removed from the wetlands. I also made observations. I waded out a ways into the cove of Prindle Pond, made observations and attached photos of those observations to my report. And those photos showed leaf litter across the bottom of the cove that was from last fall of 2022 before, this year's erosion events. And it also showed fish nests across the bottom of the pond in sand and gravel. So those were not in fresh sediments, and none of those things indicated fresh sediment. I did review Mr. Stone's report. I know Mr. Stone. I know his work for a number of years. I respect his work. He is a professional engineer. He's not a sediment specialist. Not a specifically the profession is called benthic ecology, the people that study the, the bottoms of water bodies and waterways. There's actually a specific science, but in general, if people do sampling right, they can get a general idea of what the sediment conditions are. In reading his report, he noticed some fairly significant depths of what he's calling sediment, and he's attributing that sediment to work, I guess primarily at 59 Pumpkin Lane and to the erosion events there. Again, in my opinion, the bulk of that sediment was trapped in the roadside swale. And then, we removed deposits again along the stream and the pond. But to account for 3 feet of sediment across the bottom of that cove, you'd be talking hundreds of cubic yards of,
Yes, that's
of
true.
sediment. And the thought that could come from, the gullies that I noted on 59 Pumpkin Lane, that just doesn't really make sense to me. Also, Mr. Stone's report, he apparently sampled sediment with a survey rod, which, is really not a quantitative measure of sediment. You can't establish a sediment profile and determine the different layers of sediment just by sticking a rod into it. There was no photo documentation attached to his report. He had a profile of the, kind of the sampling transect that they did, but no specific detail or photos on the actual sediment samples, which, again, you can't take a sediment sample by sticking a survey rod in. So, I really don't, I really can't say that I feel his report has, a lot of scientific accuracy. And again, on top of the fact that, for that kind of sediment accumulation, you'd be talking years and years of very, very heavy material,
2
which, is likely that kind of material over the years has entered the pond into that cove. That stream has a watershed area of approximately 26 acres, including, a roadway on both sides of the stream, which slopes up. That sediment could go all the way back to when Pumpkin Lane was built. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if, significant sediment ran into the pond, throughout that whole period and over the years. But I just don't see that kind of sediment being attributed to, this year's erosion events at 59 Pumpkin Lane. So
If I can,
those are my
Wait,
thoughts on it.
excuse
Thank
me.
you.
Let the commission ask questions first before you guys ask. Thank you.
He
Go
said
ahead.
he's done. He said he's
Can
done.
I-
He has
can-
questions.
Can we let
Oh,
the commission ask questions? Any members have questions?
You will need to abstain yourself.
I don't believe I can speak on this.
No.
Do you live up?
True.
Yeah.
Well, this has been happening more than just 1 year, right?
Well, I think Art's observing the sediments from this year alone. That's what you were saying, correct, Art?
Right, but he was saying.
Right, I responded to, to the erosion events at
Right.
59 Pumpkin, which,
Was
my
this year.
understanding
Yeah.
is that's from the heavy storms and the runoff this year. I'm aware that there were previous events at, erosion events and cleanup associated with 57 Pumpkin, that, we had also responded to in past years, but that was, we had a similar response then, and a similar cleanup effort, and it did not extend, out into the cove of Prindle Pond. And, again, I can't say based on Walton Stone's report that, that there's any direct connection
we-
between that bulk of sediment and,
We got that. Question I have, just curiosity, do you have a question?
No.
You have pictures from what it looked like in August of 2022, correct? Thereabouts?
My pictures were from August of this
This
year.
year.
Oh, this year. And was that, for lack of a better term, goopy material present in the water at that time?
No, I mean, again, I saw fish nests and sand and gravel out in the bottom of the pond. I saw a layer, of leaf litter, which would have been last fall's, leaf deposition. I mean, I'm sure there's sediment in that cove. I mean, that's what happens when you have a stream.
No, I get that. What I'm trying to describe, and maybe I'm floundering here, is based on what the residents have told me. I'm just asking. It's almost like correct me if I'm wrong, like a jello, slimy kind of material?
John called it, John called it like tapioca pudding. That's how he described it. There's clearly a lighter sediment down to a
Heavier.
heavier sediment underneath it.
So the only question I have, because I don't do what you do, and I'm just asking, is with this year's insane rain in June, July, and the crazy weather, is it possible, I'm only asking, between the sediment they got in there and the organic material there, that we had some sort of, for lack of a better term, bloom of some organism that could have made some sort of material like that?
I mean, it would really, about the only blooms of, living matter that would be associated with that would be an algae.
Algae, right.
And I didn't see any, any evidence of algae out there.
Okay, I'm just asking before they
Yeah.
have a question. Go ahead, gentlemen.
All right, were you ever shown any of the videos that were taken that showed the sediment not just coming into the cove, filling the cove and going around the corner and down that shoreline to the right? So we're not talking about, a little bit of sediment here. We're talking that entire cove was stained from the sediment stain all the way around the corner and multiple videos from multiple different rainstorms. An awful lot going in there. I don't know if that was ever shown to you.
Yeah, I did see the videos showing what we call turbidity, so suspended sediment in the water extensively throughout the cove, and I'm sure that's the finest of the materials that, wash down, probably largely off of 59 Pumpkin and down through the stream. I mean, that fine sediment, the fine silt and the clay, that stays in suspension, for extended periods of time, and it makes the water look awful. But when that fine material settles out, it doesn't settle out and create several feet of depth. I mean, it might create a skim coating, but it wouldn't create several feet of depth out there. And it would have, it would have covered up last year's leaf litter. It would have smothered out those fish nests. So it just doesn't, those things don't equate to me.
So this was coming from 2.5 years of this, though, from the first time, which
There wasn't any,
so we have residents who swim there, and this wasn't there before. And now we have these two projects, and now this is there. I know you're saying it doesn't pile up to 4 feet. What I saw was you couldn't see anything except for that stain-colored water in the cove, and it continued out into the lake. It's an awful lot of sediment. And it happened multiple storms because we had so many heavy rainstorms. It seems to me, and I'm not an expert, that if it wasn't there when people swam before and suddenly it's there, and I have videos showing that the water coming in from the main channel was crystal clear, the water coming in the street across, the hill across was crystal clear, and the only place where that colored sediment water was coming from was the project. I just don't understand how nobody could even go and look after we had all this evidence of the videos and the residents saying that this 3 feet of this stuff existed. Nobody would even look at it, because I find it hard to believe that with the rainstorms we have and what I witnessed of that water coming out, at the volume that was going underneath that road and into the lake, that all this hard sediment just stops right when it hits the lake, because there's just too much volume there. And I don't know how to explain other than where you could see from near the shorelines, the fish nests and stuff from the year, but that's not where that main plume was coming out of the stream there. And it makes no sense that, we went out 200 feet and we're still finding it, and we went to the right 100 feet and found it, because that's where those videos showed all that stuff going in. Just hard to believe that it's not there, but suddenly this is
Where else is it
20 years of
coming from?
accumulation.
Did you go into
That's
the
not
lake
what
at
we're
all?
saying. It's not saying that's
Did
not
you
this is
actually
coming from.
physically,
If you
did
were
somebody
coming from
of your
there-
group go into the
Yeah,
lake to see?
I waded out probably 6 feet deep. I mean, I had knee-high boots and waded out probably 6 feet deep, but those pictures are showing 20 or 30 feet out into the cove.
And we went out 100 feet, and we still saw the
We went
sediment,
out 200 feet
200 feet,
and over.
Hmm.
yeah.
Is there,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not,
There's
I'm
nowhere
not,
else
I'm
where
not
it's kind
saying
of a
there weren't
message.
problems at 59 Pumpkin Lane, and clearly, clearly there was sediment that was deposited. The way sediment deposition works is that, the faster the water moves, the heavier material it carries until it hits something like the pond at the cove, and then the heavy stuff all settles out almost immediately, and you get that fine, silt and clay that stays in suspension, and that can flow, well out into the lake. And I saw the videos, I'm sure that happened. But again, all I'm saying is that, that kind of material, over the course of, again, what I saw from this year, I mean, that kind of material doesn't account for several feet of depth out into the lake. I mean, again, I'm sure it's been accumulating over time.
We've been coming to
Yeah.
we've been coming to this meeting for 2.5 years, because when the project first started, we came here and said that this stuff was ending up in our lake. The gentlemen that were here before actually put a cease and desist order on them to stop them from doing what was going on, because I think Rose and Angela could see the amount that was ending up in our lake and said, this has to stop. And they didn't stop. So this has been going on, like I say, 2.5 years now. We've been coming to these meetings saying that this has been an issue right from the beginning. Now, you can say everything you want, but when it first started, there wasn't anything on the first house being built. There was nothing stopping all of that stuff from ending up going into the lake for the whole year. It just kept coming in.
to try to settle this question, is there a way to do a sediment analysis and look at like morphology and organic materials and that type of stuff to try to figure out what's causing it?
Yeah, I mean, again,
That's
you
like
know,
the
again,
bathysphere?
there's a specialty called benthic ecology that, and people that specifically study sediment deposits. I mean, that's not my expertise, and that's not Alton Stone's expertise, specifically, but, I mean, somebody like that could go out there and look at it and, I mean, potentially they could, do core samples, get actual profiles, they could,
All we're doing, we're
they can
prolonging,
test-
we're prolonging the agony of, that we know where it came from. You people know where it came from. This group has known for 2.5 years where it was coming from. We don't have to say if it was coming from the east or the west. We know it was coming from the beginning of your project. That's when we first started coming to these meetings to say, there's a problem happening from this project that's going on, and nobody wanted to do anything about it. They completely ignored it. Now all of a sudden, we have a problem in our lake. All we want if it's somebody to come in and take the product back out of the lake again, so we're going back to where we were. We own the bottom of the lake, and we don't need the sediment that came in from these two projects.
So, let me ask a question. When Lakes and Ponds did the bathymetric studies, did Prindle get done?
For art.
No, that's for these guys.
Barometric,
The bathymetric, remember when we did stuff we were doing, they appropriated money to have all the lakes do the bathymetric study so you could do the layers in the lakes? Did Prindle get done?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
How long ago was it?
4 or 5 years. I'd have to go back and look. It was a while ago, so it could have been before these projects started.
oh, yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
4 years ago it would have been.
So if you have that,
You have a before.
you have a before of what your lake, like, not necessarily what the sediment would be, but your lake levels, right? They would that's what, one of the things Ziggy wanted to have done was the lake, the depths and weeds and things like that. So if you have that, if that got done,
before our time. The gentleman that was here 2 meetings ago, John, he would know if something like that was,
No, it's
Had
on
been
the
done.
record if it was done. So
yeah, so it'd be part of Lakes and Ponds, minutes or something.
They don't do
Yeah.
minutes, but
Because
Yeah.
I understand you guys saying your frustration, but we're coming around to the same thing, is if you guys want this cleaned up, you want this removed, unless you have bulletproof proof that it is, and that videos is not bulletproof proof, sorry. So if this goes civil, it goes to a civil matter, and it goes to court, they're gonna get their expert witness to say, this is our proof, where's your proof?
Well, let me ask what proof, you issued 2 orders to clean out that stream. What proof was there that the stuff in the stream came from those 2?
the report that they submitted, I mean, we're not
There's no more
expertise on
proof. He can't
sediments.
prove that that was from those two projects. He knows it was because we saw all the stuff coming down. The issue is that to go in there and take, less than a yard of material out, a handful of shovels is gonna cost nothing, so it's easy to issue. This mess that has been created now is gonna be a very expensive cleanup, and I disagree with you. For 2.5 years, you've been telling us we're gonna get this returned to where it should be. I disagree with you. I think it's because of the costs, and yes, they might put up a fight about it. And I don't think that's
not the cost,
a reason to
it's-
stop the,
We can't issue, if we got
Clean
one
up.
expert telling us that he's got this documentation, you guys got your report, Art commented on the report, we asked him to see his point, and he's like, from what I'm gathering, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, Art, but it sounds like there's some holes in this other person's report. It's not definitive that this material definitely came from the runoff. So we can't issue I don't want to speak for the whole commission, but I myself, if I had a vote, I'd say, I can't issue an order to force them to go in there and spend the money to clean it up, where he could just turn around and come back at us and go, I already did.
well, you didn't stop me from doing it, and now we're stuck with it. And I get it, you're not gonna do anything, and I understand that.
Well, I haven't said that, as just one person on this board.
Well, it's obvious that's where we're headed. I think that, for 2.5 years, we've been told, we'll take care of it. I feel like you just strung us along, hoping we would just give up. And now that this is gonna be difficult, now now we aren't gonna do anything. Well, that's fine, I don't know where we go from here. I will probably contact DEP, because I think that's our next step for trying to get this resolved. I'll explain to them where we've come in this 2.5 years, what we've seen. Hopefully, they can look at the videos, they can look at the evidence, they can go out there. Hopefully, somebody will actually go in the water and look and see what's down there. Because it is that light, fine stuff that he's saying doesn't build up to 3 feet. But that's what's there on the top. All those measurements we took was clearly that light stuff that until you clearly tell, then you hit the next layer of sediment. And the fact that nobody's even gone out there to look at it, to be able to make the statement that it couldn't have come from there, I just find that hard to believe, because nobody even actually looked at it.
we did though. We went out in a boat
I'm
and
well
did.
aware of what you guys
We
did.
did this whole thing, and we know what it was.
We're well aware of that.
Yeah.
My point is, if you show me this goop, as a guy who's not specializing in the science that Art's talking about, I can't look at that goop and say it definitively came from that property. Even with the videos of the water running down and the sediment, because if the sediment has a certain characteristic that doesn't match up with the goop,
Let
You're
me ask
done.
you, let me ask you a question though. 2.5 years ago, there wasn't a house up there, we did not have an issue in our lake with anything coming down and causing this issue. All of a sudden, they started on that project, and all of a sudden, us just going out in a rainstorm could see all of this coming down the hill across, before they even put in the driveway. They finally put in the driveway because that was supposed to take care of the problem. Well, now the dirt came across the driveway, it was a lot easier to see, ended up down and into the lake, all right? Some people saw this, they know what was going on. We never had an issue before this. Then all of a sudden, this project started, and we end up with this incredible amount of extra in our lake that we didn't have before. And we've been coming here for 2.5 years, just saying, all we want is for the people that caused it to take care of it. Just remove it. You caused it, you put a house up there, it came down, you started a second house this year.
Caused it again.
And it started all over again, and now all of a sudden, we got in wattles, we got in rocks, we got all of this stuff put in, a day late and a dollar short. But we're still sitting at this point now with all this, and say what you want about, what makes up this stuff, it came from them.
but we don't have the, I understand we're in a growing runoff, and we can talk about this till midnight, sir. Unless you have the chemical proof. Do I saw the water go in? Yes. If I may speak for Art, my understanding is if you have 100 gallons of runoff, it could look as muddy as chocolate milk. How much of that water, if you had 100 gallons of it, and you evaporated of that water, how much of left would actually be sediment? A lot of different variations on how much sediment could be. You could dry up 100 gallons of water, and you might have, 2 gallons worth of sediment out of it. So if I understand Art, correct me if I'm wrong, is the volume of sediment that you guys are saying is all due to this runoff, you would, from what I understand, you'd basically say like the whole side of a hill would have to come down in there. I know I'm oversimplifying it.
Long-term process,
Longer than
So
2.5
that's
years.
it.
Longer than 2 years, you're saying,
We're
Art?
under the impression that you people don't want to take care of the problem that you caused.
That's not,
And
he's,
now-
he's not.
He's not it.
He's
Yeah,
not
he
it.
has a problem, he's the
Yeah.
engineer.
But,
Art, would you say that accumulation would take more than 2 years? I would say on the first construction, we had 4 runoffs that I was there presently watching the mud go into the lake. And then we had 2 runoffs this year. So in a total of 6 major runoff, do you believe that sediments would accumulate this depth?
No, yeah, I mean, that's impossible. I mean, again, the reference was made to the 3/4 of a yard that we took out of the stream in the mouth of the pond, but the bulk of the sediment was in the swale along Pumpkin Lane, several yards that the DPW removed in conjunction with the town, in conjunction with the Conservation Commission to clean out and reline that swale. So that's where the bulk of the sediment was that I observed. And that's the heavy material that, that accumulates at depth, not the,
Right.
not the fine silt.
So
flakes.
what he's mentioned, remember how that swale got filled all the way to the top with muck? I mean, I
Yeah.
stepped on it, my
Yeah.
feet went all in it, it covered half of my boot. So that's the heavy sediments that he's talking about, and that was collected within the swale. It did stop there.
There was a gully coming down, there's more than that from that gully, I'm telling you.
Right, but that presence didn't show as the process throughout the entire property. I'm just saying, that's what he's saying, Mark.
I understand.
I have
Yeah.
a question, because I don't know our budget. No, hear me out. Do we have the funds? And this is what I would posit to the members. Do we have the funds to get a person to do the sediment study and say, it looks like it came from this or this?
I don't know what the sediment study would cost.
Do you have any ballpark, Art? I'm not gonna hold you to it, like a range to do the cores and sediment study. We talking 10,000, 5,000, 20,000?
Yeah, I'd say upwards of 10 grand to do that kind of study.
Okay.
The answer is no, I don't have $10,000. If we're talking about $1,000.
Lots of questions I have. You can't say anything. You have any questions?
I guess, no, I'm just wondering, as you mentioned with this fine silt that can stay suspended in the water for a longer period of time, would 2.5 years be enough for it to still be suspended? That all 6 of the runoffs we're speaking of
Be stirred up again?
could be all part of this?
There were runoffs before it even got reported, there were, so, I mean,
No,
there
it
was
could-
certainly
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah, we're talking, I think he was asking Art.
Art, did you hear that question?
No, I mean, it wouldn't stay in suspension that long, no. I mean, it might stay in suspension a couple of weeks, but it would settle out in that time period.
Is it, I may be asking a stupid ignorant question, that's kind of redundant, but if this fine silt gets stirred up and there is a lot of activity by the microorganisms, could they form around this fine sediment and make something? Or that would just be algae?
There may be some interaction, but, you know, again, I mean, I'm not a,
We'd have to do sediment testing.
yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert in that area, so. I mean, the other thing is too, I mean, you're talking about a significant dredging project, which is, you know, I mean, that in itself requires permitting on local, state, and federal levels. That would have to be permitted through the owners of the lake, which I guess is the association.
That's us.
Yeah, so I mean, there would have to be quite a bit of coordination between whoever was paying for the dredging and the owner. Yeah, so it's more complicated than just saying, you know, get a machine out there and dredge the pond. I mean, you know, all that characterization and analysis would need to be done in order to permit that type of dredging project, so.
And that's because they didn't want to remove materials that belong there, correct? I spoke,
Yeah, and, you know, and they're concerned about contamination and things where part of it came from the road, and you could get, you know, oils and
Hydraulic
grease and
fluids,
brake
yeah.
linings and any other, you know, number of things that could be in that sediment, so potentially, you know, I mean, that's not that I'm saying that's definitively there, but, I mean, that's why they require that kind of sampling and analysis. So, yeah, not only do they want to know where to stop and start, they want to know what's in the sediment, they want to know where it's going to be disposed, you know, the means and methods for removing it. So it's a complicated process, for sure.
You were saying, Rose?
no, that was it. No, I spoke to GP briefly, so she did mention about testing and permitting, the extensive permitting. So it's not that it cannot be done, it's just, it has to be controlled, and they need to know, as Art said, how it's gonna be removed, what's in it, what's gonna go, how it's gonna be disposed and all that. So I haven't not been part of that process before, but it can be done. I guess the matter of the testing is regardless of where, you know, if it's going to be done now or through the permitting process, but eventually it's gonna have to be done if you continue the quest. Just a matter of who.
Have you sent an email to, was it Mr. Stone? Is that the consultant you guys use?
No, I thought he would be here, present.
No, but is Art sent,
I think he said he talked to him.
did you talk to him or just email?
I have not
No,
talked
he
to
has
him
not.
about this
Oh.
at all. I've only read his report.
Okay.
We're the three gentlemen that used to be here that were involved from 2.5 years ago. Mr. O'Malley and the other two gentlemen that,
They're just
Sad,
not
yeah.
here today.
Mitch had an operation. Tom, from my understanding, is
It's not well.
not feeling well. We don't know where Ron is.
you know, I mean, they were there right from the beginning. And as I recollect, Mr. O'Malley is the one that wanted the police to have them give a stop notice to Santos when he was alive, because he
Right, but
says,
that
I'm
has
fed up
nothing-
with this.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the conversation. So the
Being the
commission,
fact that this goes back 2.5 years ago.
Oh, but we have-
And we're sitting here for 2.5 years, and what have we gotten done?
what I'm saying is that I
You guys wanna know where this sediment came from? It came from that.
You don't have definitive proof. You can keep yelling
Definitive
and
proof.
engaging in perfidy
Oh,
and calumny
yeah,
and
yeah,
anything
yeah.
else
All
you
right,
want,
come on,
sir.
let's
It's
get
not
out of
gonna
here.
do.
This is,
I'm
you know,
not-
this is a crap.
I have the reports that brings back
Yeah.
to when it started. I have the enforcement orders, I have the pictures, I have the videos. I'm saying that we don't need any more proof that that happened. What I'm saying right now, the commission wouldn't be able to make a motion today anyways, because we don't have a quorum. So I think the motion needs to be brought up though, so then when we have all full members, whether or not the commission is gonna be enforcing it, to have the applicant to conduct those testings and moving forward or not. But tonight wouldn't be a time to do so, because we don't have a quorum.
Unfortunately, I mean, this just going on so long. We just need a decision. And you know, we were trying to be patient, and I guess we've just run out. This is not gonna work.
I think they walked. Thank you, Art.
Thank Art.
Yeah, no problem. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
We talked about using flocculants at one point.
Yeah,
But
that's,
then
I don't know what that came
The
from.
bigger
She shouldn't
picture
have
that's
said
getting
that.
missed on this is if we issue an order, violation order. You're on the lake,
Enforcement
I'm
order.
just being honest. 'Cause trust me, our lake's had all kinds of issues too, so let me let that go. There's tens of yards of shit that's gotten in our lake, especially when they put the sewer in. It was a mess. I understand the frustration. Anyways, if we issue an enforcement order, and I'm Mr. Santos's, I don't know, kid's estate, because I guess he's passed away, and I have Art Allen, who's an expert witness, to say, yeah, I put stuff on it. Here's my report. Let me finish.
It's not gonna fly.
And then they have the report that they just got, you guys just got. Having been in court several times as an expert witness, they're gonna go, this doesn't mean anything.
All you gotta show is 5 to 10% other runnings into the lake besides across the street. You really can't prove anything without a court.
Right. It's like I didn't want to get into it because they weren't gonna listen to me. It's almost like from my limited ecology and limnology I took, it's almost like when you look at the core
Information about
and you do
flocculants
tests,
in
it's
the
almost
past,
like a
which is sure
fingerprint,
how
like a
it
DNA
works.
It's like
fingerprint.
DNA.
And you can say,
Everything, like,
my guess is they'll
in
say,
the first 12 hours.
of all the sediment,
Once it
this much came
settles,
from
you
this,
can't remove
this much
it
came
with
from this,
reference.
this much came from this. I was trying to help you guys out because my little knowledge of my limnology is if you have little flecks floating around in the lake, they almost act like, for lack of a better term, a seed for things to kind of grow around
Yeah,
it.
magnets.
Yeah, well, it's for things to grow around. I mean, that's why I didn't know, that's why I was asking Art. What I was trying to explain to him, without definitive proof, if this, I have no idea what this is gonna cost to clean it up. My guess is tens of thousands, if not over $100,000.
Well, what will help,
So that means he's gonna get an attorney and just drag this out in court as long as possible.
That's not good for the town. It's not good for the Lake
Can we move
Association.
forward to the
Yeah.
application withdrawn?
We can, I just
I
have
know.
a member who's on the lake, I wanna explain to him where I was coming from. All right, application withdrawn, 080 Young Road, so what do
This
we
has
need?
been with us since 2020, and believe 2022, February 2022. No additional documentations have been provided, cannot get in contact with the engineer, cannot get in contact with the applicant. DEP number has been issued back then, but,
So what's
it's
the,
been
what's the,
sitting,
I don't know, what's the
we'll make
rules
a
on it?
motion to withdraw the application due to lack of additional, required
Information?
information.
Motion to withdraw.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
I'm assuming we're punting on the reorg.
I guess. And next meeting dates, we are meeting on the October 25th meeting.
Wednesday?
Yes, but for November, because due to Thanksgiving, we usually meet once
Right.
in the month. So instead of meeting at the beginning of the month and they have the entire month off, I figured could we do middle of the month? So that way we can kind of balance,
so the 15th?
yes, so we could balance, you
Let me
know,
track that
the,
down. The 15th.
if they get a DP number, if they don't, we still have a week to wait versus make them wait 3 weeks
Well, if it's the 15th, right?
of November. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we usually would meet
But
on
we
the
wouldn't,
8th.
we wouldn't meet again until December 13th.
Right.
So they're.
No, no. If we meet on the 15th, now we'll meet on December, yes, 13th.
So
So,
it's 4 weeks.
right.
We're usually slow in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
And
think you,
holidays.
I got that, okay. Yeah, no, that's why. 'cause
that's why we
it's-
moved Lakes and Ponds for the 8th.
Yeah, no,
Because
that's fine.
Thanksgiving is here, so that we couldn't count. We could then move up, and meet on the first week of December instead.
Cause, and then what, then you'd have 2 meetings in December, or just still one?
We usually, you have one,
So
so.
just the 15th.
We
and
can,
then-
we
okay.
can play as according to the applications that I have. You know, I don't wanna make anybody sit and wait if I have a DP number on, but if I don't have a DP number on, then
Yeah,
Are you still an alternate? Are you in, what, do we answer that question?
he's still an alternate, yes.
Okay.
So November 15th.
Yeah.
So October 25th.
October 25th
And November 15th.
Sorry.
and November 15th.
Okay.
Sorry, Rose.
That's okay.
Because when you left, you said, you thought that they were gonna make you a member. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah,
I thought Rose was gonna check with the secretary, and then she was gonna get back to us.
yep,
So we haven't heard anything back, so,
not yet.
okay.
So next meeting, October 25th, and then following that, November 15th. I just need to make sure that's set now because I need to let people know when they turn
So
in
do we
the
need a motion for that?
applications. No motion.
All right,
So I need a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.